Is there a better combination than a brownie and some coffee? I really don't think so. This week, I've been in my luteal phase, and all I want are baked goods. I've been eating this brownie. I'd gotten a zucchini loaf on Saturday, and last night I made banana bread. So since baked goods are the only thing that I seem to be wanting, I know that there's some other nutrients that my body is needing. And during this phase, oh my goodness, during the luteal phase, a really good thing to incorporate into your diet is salmon. And I understand if you don't want to do salmon for meal prep because it's not the easiest to reheat. So I'm going to show you a recipe that you don't have to heat up, and it's going to be delicious. So here we go. Okay, so first things first, you're going to cube your salmon. I suggest getting at least 2 pounds. It just kind of depends on how many ounces you want to have per portion and how many days you want to have it for. I always meal prep for Monday until about Thursday. If I can get a 5th portion in whatever it is that I'm making, then awesome. But if I need to have something else by Friday, then I'm okay with like a quick grab and go, or kind of just figuring out what I have, what's left over from the week. So cubed salmon. Side note, how do you cube your salmon in perfect little cubes? I've seen these on the internet, but I don't know how that happens when the salmon is always cut like a hill. It like kind of slopes down and gets flat. So anyways, I did the best I could. Also, side note, skinning a fish, not easy. Good thing I didn't record that because let me tell you, it was not pretty. So once you get that, we're gonna make the sauce. As you know, I'm not really a measuring gal, but I believe that if you used 2 tablespoon measurement for each of these to mix all together, that would produce a really good flavor. You can always kind of play with how much of each of these things you use. I would recommend not using olive oil though. I'd recommend using avocado oil just because it doesn't have as big of a potent flavor. I just don't have any, and I didn't want to buy any because, as you guys know, the cooking oils are just absolutely absurd right now. So, I mean, I guess everything is, but man. Okay, so we're gonna pour some of the oil into a cup and some sriracha. Ooh, I got a hair on my sweatshirt. Okay. Just kind of eyeballing it for now. Is anyone else just finding hair all over their person and things? Also, honey. You don't have to use the hot one if you don't want to. I just like a little spice. Anything to like kind of kick the salmon up a notch, give it a little extra zhuzh is, where I like to take it. So we're gonna squeeze some of that in there. This is also really good to have in your coffee. The chilies that it's infused with just kind of, I feel like it kind of boosts the caffeine a little bit. Like I get a little like extra sweaty and like ready to go. Okay, and then soy sauce. You can also use coconut aminos, which is what I would normally use, but again, didn't have it and didn't want to buy it. Just pour some of that in there. And we gotta mix it up. So just as a observation, I was at Texas Roadhouse over the weekend, and my first ever serving job was actually at Logan's Roadhouse, not Texas Roadhouse. And that was way before COVID, when they had the peanuts and there was just peanut shells everywhere. And I remember having to clean those up at the end of every shift. It was just like, it was the worst. Like that was the worst part of our side work, was having to make sure that all those shells got cleaned up. And now they got rid of the peanut shells. And if you like, they'll give you like a little pack of peanuts, just slightly larger than what you would get on a flight. That's my rice. A pack, if you like a neatly packaged pack of peanuts, which, I don't know, it kind of takes the whole Roadhouse element out of the eating of the peanuts, in my opinion. Also, like, gosh darn it, I had to clean up the peanuts. Like, anyone else that has to wait tables at Texas Roadhouse or Logan's Roadhouse should have to clean up those peanuts too. Right? Right. Okay, let's do a little taste test. Ooh. Yeah, really zippy. I like it. And the other flavors, like, the soy sauce, and the hot sauces and the honey and stuff, they're definitely overpowering the avocado oil. So, I'm sorry, the olive oil. So if all you have is olive oil, then totally fine. All right, let's go ahead and pour that in there. Haha, hands are clean. We're gonna mix that all up. And there she is. We're gonna put her in the oven for about 15-ish, 20 minutes. Kind of depends on how well done you like your salmon. But yeah, she's gonna go in there at 400 degrees. Okay, so next we're going to peel a cucumber. Now that it's peeled, we're gonna chop off the ends and then slice it long ways down the middle. Turn it onto the flat side so that you can then slice those two halves long ways again, turning each half into strips. Definitely don't try to emulate my knife skills. They are not great, but they get the job done. And we are all about getting the job done safely, of course. So you hold it however you need to. And then once you've cut the half into strips long ways, then cut each of those strips horizontally. These aren't exactly cubes, but again, my goodness, how do you turn a cucumber into perfectly sized cubes? The world may never know. It might be a secret forever. Although, it seems the answer is out there if you just look hard enough. So, a couple of things that salmon is good for. It is really high in omega-3 fatty acids, and those help to regulate your hormones. And when the hormones are kind of going crazy, especially during that luteal phase, it's a good way to give your body some support. The other thing is, just luteal phase or not, salmon's fat, the omega-3s, will also help to keep you satiated, which is a huge determining factor in the kind of choices, food choices that you'll make throughout the day. And that's a really big factor when it comes to weight loss, maintaining your weight, and just overall feeling good within your body. I was working with a client today who is in her 60s. She's approaching 65, and she doesn't like that she's getting some like wrinkly skin. And one of the things that I asked her was, are you eating enough fat? And she kind of paused for a second and like looked at me and was like, what kind of fat? Honestly, it doesn't really matter so long as you're incorporating fat into your diet. So between regulating your hormones, helping to keep you satiated, and plumping up your skin to prevent aging, salmon is definitely the way to go. Slide those cucumbers or cucumber cubes right into the bowl here. Next, we're chopping an avocado. Slicing it right down the center. Ooh, this one looks pretty good. Again, do not attempt this at home. You use an avocado pit extractor. Ooh, came out pretty easy. So the way I usually handle avocados is once I've sliced them in half and pitted them, I'll peel the skin off. And now we chop. It really doesn't matter how you chop this because we're going to be mixing it into the cucumbers, and so the avocado will serve as kind of like a mayo, you know what I mean? So just some chunks, not the prettiest, and you go right into the bowl. And now cilantro. If you're one of those people who thinks cilantro tastes like soap, I am so sorry for you because, oh my gosh, love cilantro. I look for meals that include cilantro in them because that is how much I love it. If you don't like cilantro, you don't have to use it. This will still taste delicious without, but man, is that a sad day for you or what? So let's go ahead and wash some of these and pull the leaves off the stems. Any Chapel Roan fans out here? I personally love Chapel, and I think that her new single that she came out with is so much fun. The Giver song. You ain't gotta tell me, it's just in my nature, so take it like a taker. I saw some interviews that she did where she was talking about how she was inspired to make that song by the Save a Horse Ride a Cowboy song. And I just love that, you know, when she heard that, she was like, yeah, like I want my own version of that. Same thing with her Hot to Go song. You know, she was inspired by the YMCA. So, yeah, anytime that I ever heard the YMCA, I always thought it was just kind of like this like campy, like kitschy sort of like silly song, and Chapel Roan was inspired by it. So just goes to show that, you know, one man's, what did they say? One man's trash is another man's treasure. Which is part of the reason that I got not necessarily inspired, but felt like, you know what? Like, even if these recipes aren't anything super fancy, and even if nobody watches these videos, like, I'm gonna put them out there anyways, because working with all of the women that I work with, they all seem to struggle with hating their bodies and not knowing what to do about the fact that they hate their body. And they're in this constant cycle of binging and restricting and then like repeating that cycle. Like the other day, one of my clients was like, you know, I want to lose 10 pounds. So this morning I had a boiled egg for breakfast. Like, girl, you know that's not enough. Like, even if that's enough for you today, that's not going to be enough for you a week from today, or even in a few days. Like, your body's going to be like, wait a minute, hold on now. I'm hungry. Like, that's not enough. So my idea behind these Meal Prep Monday videos are to share with you the ways that I keep my weight consistent. I know, you know, I've not struggled with being super overweight ever in my life, but I have been bigger in my life. I've also been smaller than I am now. And the biggest thing that made a difference was just making sure that each of my meals was balanced and that I was watching my portions, because that's huge. And that's actually the biggest thing about it is just keeping yourself. And then my mic cut out, which made me very sad because I was making a point and doing it eloquently. But all of it was to say that if you balance your meals with carbs, proteins, and fats, then that will help you to keep your portion sizes proportional to your body. And you won't be craving things that are ultra processed or heavily calorically dense without having a whole lot of nutrients to go with those calories. So everything can be eaten in moderation if you apply this tactic, this balancing your plate tactic. You won't crave the junk as much, and that's really where I was going with that. Once you get all those leaves pulled off the stem, go ahead and chop those guys up into really fine pieces. And then slide those pieces right on into the bowl. Now we're going to slice a lime in half and then in quarters and just squeeze about half of the lime into the bowl. I just slice my half again to make it easier to squeeze. Then we're gonna add some honey. You can use as much or as little as you like. And then some salt. And then give that mixture a nice stir. Be sure to smash the avocado a little bit as you're stirring so that the avocado coats the cucumbers. And there she is, nice and pretty and green. So something I forgot to mention earlier is when you're chopping your veggies, have some rice cooking on the stove. And then to turn that rice into sushi rice, mix some rice wine vinegar with some white sugar, and then heat up that mixture for about 45 seconds in the microwave. And then you'll pour that hot mixture over the rice. You'll notice that my rice got pretty cooked. I just moved. I'm still getting used to my stove, okay? The settings on it are absolutely insane. Also, I'm used to cooking with a electric stove, so this gas stove is like a whole new world. But anyways, you want to mix that mixture in really, really well, and if your rice looks like mine, then just break it up as you're doing that mix. And for the salmon's final look, looking so fine. With all the veggies prepped, that rice sushified, and the salmon looking absolutely stunning, you're gonna grab some seaweed papers to craft the rest of the meal. So let's just pretend that each of these ingredients is in a single Tupperware and you won't have to use a utensil to assemble these little sushi tacos. You can actually just grab the paper and scoop up what you can grab within the paper with your fingers. But absolutely amazing, delicious, 10 out of 10, would absolutely recommend. Thanks so much for tuning into my Meal Prep Monday. I'll see you next week.